All right, let's try this again. This is try number 3. I'm going to see if I can share the stream real quick on all the fun platforms because apparently you can't do that while dual logged in on Facebook. So I got to do it on my phone and my iPad to share all this stuff. So give me 5 seconds and we're going to get straight into it. There we go. Share. Not even sure where I want to share it to. Yeah, share it to this one. And then we'll go share onto my page. Onto my story. Yeah, why not? Share it. Share, share, share. Okay, we're good. Boop. There's at least 2 people watching. Yay! Okay, so what's going to happen? So, right now, let's just get into it. So this is Photoshop. Welcome to Photoshop if you've never seen it before. If you follow my page, you know I do a bunch of artwork and fun photo activities and things. And I really hope my computer didn't just stall. That'd be fun. Okay. So, this is McKaylee. We did this awesome photo shoot literally last week in the midst of before the rain happened off on Pinnacle Mountain. And we have this fun little setup. I had the idea to do a gray Jedi since the last time I did a Sith Jedi or what would you call it? A dark Jedi. he uses the dark side of the Force. But yeah, so I decided, hey, let's do a gray one, in between dark and light. So this is what we came up with. I decided I wanted to do a dual saber, found a cool deal on a dual saber, and I actually have a link if you want a dual saber, and you can actually save some money with the link I can provide to you. This dual saber was actually only about $30. Comes with sounds and all that stuff. And worked pretty well. It was pretty bright, and we were able to photo shoot with it pretty cool. It comes with a bunch of colors. Anywho, so this is the last one that we did for today, which was done today. And I'll just show you kind of where it started, and then we're going to start on a brand new one. So this is where it started. This is actually the second of the process. So this is after the image has been processed down into this color. So where it started, the sky was kind of washed out. Here was kind of washy, and then yeah, it was just colored a little differently than I normally do it. But this is where it kind of started from. So we are going to start with another image. We're doing another dual saber photo, and let's go ahead and move on to that screen, which that is not the screen. That's the screen. Screen 1. So this is the screen we will be utilizing. Not you, not you, not you, not you. Not you. Not you. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. I've ruined it again. Hold on. Display capture real quick. Display capture. Okay. That one. Boom. Okay, so this is the one we will be working on. We got the cool dual saber. Things we got to look at. I've got to apparently get rid of my light, which is my backlight. Which this is going to be fire and all that fun junk since we've kind of gone from we are in the midst of the fire to out of the fire. So there's going to be a bunch of fire and stuff over here because that was the last image, and she's just kind of walking towards the camera. Over here is the cliff, so I'm not going to really worry about that too much. But we got to color this and kind of set the mood, so to speak. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. And if you have any questions, I'm going to try to get to all the questions that I can. I don't really have a way of viewing all the questions, even though I'm on like a multi-screen thing. Let me just move this over real quick. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. But yeah, put them in the comments, and I'll see if I can get to them. So let's just jump into it, and I'm just going to kind of show you my process on how I do stuff. Yeah, and please subscribe if you're on the YouTubes, or hit that like button. Yeah. Okay, so we're in Lightroom. we're going to be using Lightroom and Photoshop. I start out in Lightroom. I shoot all my stuff in RAW because I want as much detail as possible. That's just kind of how I do stuff. So this is where the secret sauce happens. Okay. So first of all, I want to get this into an exposure that I like, which this is okay. I kind of want it to be a bit more bright. Which that right there looks pretty good. I don't know why, it might just be me or the fact I saw one tutorial at one point do this, but I actually enjoy pushing all the colors through the Adobe Landscape profile. It kind of just brighten things out and kind of gives a tone, like a landscape tone to it, which is pretty cool. It warms it up a lot without me having to do too much to it. But then I'm also going to start playing with some of the warmer tones here and just kind of tone it up just a bit to that kind of fire look. Got some pretty harsh highlights, so I'm going to go ahead and bring those down a smidgen. Bring my shadows up a bit because there's going to be a lot of lights. And blacks are okay. That is all right. Okay, next thing that I usually do is I come down here into the transform panel. I hit this little button that says auto, and that's just going to kind of straighten things up. If I don't like the way that looks, I'll check the level. Level's fine. I just kind of play around with these audio adjustments, and usually those do pretty good. If you really need to dive into stuff, you can kind of change the offsets here, but I don't need to change the offsets there at all. So I'm going to just dig this down to 0. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start masking everything. So there's this cool little feature about Lightroom where you can basically mask everything. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this mask feature, and I'm going to select my background, and I'm probably going to have to do some masking work, but this uses AI to figure out where she is and what I'm wanting to mask out. It's basically going to pull together our subject and make some stuff happen. So we're detecting the subject in the background. So right here, right off the bat, this is looking pretty good. Except for we got some spots on the hips where I'm going to have to take out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my minus there. I'm going to select my brush. Make my brush a smidgen bigger. And I'm going to turn off auto mask. And I'm going to make sure that I am taking everything off that I need to take off. I'm just going to kind of go through and make sure there's no red where red does not need to be. Red is basically what I'm wanting to work with. And everything that's in a normal color, that is what I do not want to work with. So I'm just wanting the red selected. And everything else can go away. Probably should get some like music going or something. I'm always so worried about music and stuff because I want to eventually start monetizing my channels again, and nowadays you can't do that without buying all the music. There's that. If you're just now joining, what we're doing is we're masking out our subject in Lightroom, and we're going to do some background work before we move into Photoshop. All right, so there's some hair work here that needs to be done. Awesome. That's looking good. And feel free to ask any question if you want. I will answer as best as I can when I'm focusing on the other screen. But there have been no comments so far. But one person's watching, so hello, one person. Welcome to the stream. There's that. That. All right. I think we're looking pretty good here. Awesome. All right, looks pretty good. I'm not going to worry. If it's on the lightsaber, I'm not really too worried about that. So basically what that does is this allows us to just focus on the background. So I'm going to start making the background a lot more warm, because that's where all that fire is going to come through. I'm going to probably mess a lot with the shadows as well and the temperature, just because we want that kind of warmer reddish glow on these ones. So we're really kind of like diving into the that what do you call it, golden hour kind of look. But yeah, that's what we're kind of dealing with. So backgrounds are going to be smoky and hazy, so it's going to be really not a whole lot of contrast. So really bring up the shadows, bring down the contrast, bring down the highlights. And already she's starting to pop out much more than the background, just because she has a lot higher contrast ratio and she's much brighter as compared to the background. And again, that's going to be a lot to do with the fact that there's going to be a lot of smoke and stuff in the background, so she's going to pop out a lot more. All right, so there's that. Let's see what happens if I bump the set. It's not terrible. Maybe bring it up about right there. One thing I also like to do is bring down the texture of the image just a smidgen, and that's going to definitely help pop her out a lot more of the image. Also, there's this fun button called the dehaze button, which you can kind of mess with. What? It's a little aggressive, so I'm going to bring that just down a little bit. Not too much. That's still a bit much. I don't like that. Let me bring me about to -4. And now I'm also going to hit this minus button again and hit my brush. So that I have just the background selected. That also includes right here by her feet, which is technically going to be a completely different set of contrast ratios. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring up my minus tool, and I'm going to go ahead and take that out. And that's automatically going to go ahead and take out our substance adjustments here. Or not substance adjust, our Lightroom adjustments from this part of the layer. And also that's going to bring back some of these lightsaber. And it's going to make this kind of glowy kind of look, which is good by me, because she needs to glow, because we got this cool, fun, white, glowy lightsaber. All right, that's cool. One thing I forgot I wanted to do was I wanted to go ahead and crop the image. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the little crop tool up here. That'll take just a minute to work. Hopefully my program doesn't crash. Man, if that crashed, that would be embarrassing. All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to do kind of like a dead center adjustment. So she's just going to be right front and center. We're going to make sure our thirds are playing for us instead of against us. About right there. Don't want up too far. Something about right there looks good. All right, let's go back into our masking, and let's go in and mess with. Oh, what do I want to do? Let's go ahead and mask some more. So we'll go ahead and hit that mask again. Hit that plus sign and select some people. Let's select our people. I'm going to select my person here. And it should technically go through that same exact process that we just did. So it selected her really well, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and mess around with her hair a little bit, but that should do exactly what I need it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and create that mask. All right. So now let's go ahead and push in. That is actually pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do an unselecting mask. Though, make sure it's a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to take away some of the hair with the auto mask checked on. Just take a little bit away, because I don't want this to be too aggressive. If you can see where the red ends and begins, it's usually not a good sign, so I'm just going to go ahead and feather it a bit, because my edits don't need to be that aggressive. Definitely around the hair, I don't want it to be that aggressive. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Do the same thing about right over here. Again, doesn't need to be that aggressive. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, awesome. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of a little bit of the same. I'm going to kind of darken her just a smidgen, bring up her contrast, and there's more of a blue haze since I've got this hazy type of, since I was shooting against my light, and I accidentally got my light in the frame, even though this is a badass shot. I got my light in the frame, and it happens, so we're going to have to deal with that in Photoshop. But let's go ahead and darken this, or not darken it, but just kind of warm this up just a smidgen, get rid of that blue haze, and maybe pull in a little bit of magenta. There we go. And I do want to texture her skin, or at least sharpen her up just a smidgen, because I shot this on a 35 millimeter 1.2, so the depth of field is very pin sharp. So whatever help that I can get to just sharpen her up, the better. So there we go. Maybe a little bit of clarity, kind of bring in the hair, and then bring in some sharpness, and we're going to call that right there pretty good. All right. So next thing, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get out of my mask here, since those are the two real main edits that I want to do. Well, actually, go back. I'll show you one more trick that I like to do. If you've got like lots of lights or things like in your scenes, so I've got two major light sources that I'm thinking. So I've got this light source that's back here, which is going to be my fire, but I also have these two lightsabers, right? So you're probably thinking, well, how would I add this light source, or how can I fake a light source? Well, it's pretty easy. You can do a radial gradient. So you can see where we have this kind of white spot right here that we've kind of artificially created. But you can also do a radial like gradient. You can make kind of like a thin gradient and kind of move this around. Come on. Kind of put it directly underneath. Something like this. Maybe make it a little less, kind of like this. And just kind of bring up that exposure just a smidgen. And then you can also do the same thing on the other side. Radial gradient. We'll do the same thing over here. I'm sure it's kind of itty bitty. Pull it around like this. Adding light really, really helps pull in where you want to guide your eye, like in your image, because that's what photographers are really trying to do. They're trying to tell a story. You're trying to help guide the viewer's eye to where you want them to see. And so my eye, so all my lines are going right through here. We've got lines going down into our subject. We've got lines coming through the subject, and they're all pointing directly right here into the center. And that's really what my composition do. You have to guide your eye to where you want your viewer to look. And no duh, she's front and center, so it's going to be kind of hard to miss her. But yeah, this is kind of what the idea was whenever we were doing the photo shoot anyway. So there we go. So that's adding some light. So just adding a little bit of light there that'll just help guide the eye or make this look a little bit more real with the lightsabers. So the next thing I usually do is I mess with the tone and curve, and I just work my way down from tone and curve to HSLs to saturations, and really just make the image pop a little bit. So we got the lower levels. A lot of my stuff always tends to be down here below the 50% mark. I love dark images, and that's kind of I do film editing and like video editing and theatrical coloring, which 90% of the time, whenever I'm theatrically coloring things for my work, I am shooting for 50% or lower in the light realm. So that's kind of 10. That is where I tend to color everything that I do. Is down in that kind of realm, unless I'm doing stuff for like commercial work, then everything's really extremely bright and like just barely into the like overexposure realm, which everybody tends to like. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and mess with some of our HSL sliders. This is going to be just red alone. I'm going to push it more into the oranges. My oranges, I'm going to be pushing a little smidgen. I don't know. Let's see here. No, that's too much into the red. Maybe do a little bit more yellow, just a little bit. Well, I actually did a little less. I do a little, yeah, no, I actually do a little more into the red, just a bit. Warm that up. My yellows are all kind of in my trees. I'm going to go ahead and push that down. So it's going to make my greens look a little bit more yellow-orange. And the actual greens, which are over here, I'm going to go ahead and push those also down into the yellows. So it's going to give that overall fiery look. I don't really have any blues, so I'm not going to worry about those. Purples, I do not have purples. You're going to see those change into the lightsabers because the lights we were using, the lightsabers aren't like perfectly color cast. So those are going to be more in the purplish range. All right, so that's the hues. So we kind of got the color to where we want it. So now we're going to like saturate this thing and desaturate. So if you see, most of this saturation is on her face in the reds. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those down just a smidgen. The oranges, I'm actually going to push those down quite a bit because you're going to see once I do the calibration portion of this, it's all really going to come together. On the yellows, again, I'm going to probably desat those. Greens, not really doing a whole lot with greens. Not going to mess with those two. Purples, not too worried about, so I'll just go ahead and put those down. Luminance is a big one, and it's the exact same process. You see our reds and our oranges in her face, and this is actually where we're going to start to expose her a little bit more with just the color ranges. So you see, once I go with the oranges, I can get really dark, or I can brighten those up just a smidge, and that is actually looking really good right there. That's messing around a little too much with my background, and I actually do kind of like that. So that's kind of giving that little off-right light hit. So I'll go ahead and keep that. On the greens, not really doing me too much. And then the other levels, I'm not really going to mess around because, as you can see, that's just messing with the lightsaber. Okay, so that is our HSL sliders. That is going to be all for now. Now, here we go onto the color grading. So this is where I get into like actually adding and like embedding the color like into the photograph, and then I go in and calibrate. So the first thing that I usually do off the bat is I turn down my luminance layer, and that kind of brings just kind of everything and like compresses and squashes the colors down. If you can see that, what's happening over here in the kind of color realm, if you can see that. But I kind of want, again, this is all going to be like fiery and warm, so I'm just going to push colors into that warmer zone. And the same thing is just pulling and compressing these colors. We've got our light realm over here, and you can see that is pushing. I do kind of like that right over through here. And then here we go with our midtones, and I'm going to just kind of play around with these sliders, and just to where I get a look that I enjoy looking at, which is that one's pretty good. And I'm not going to mess with shadow too much. I think that's going to be giving a little bit too much of an off contrast look. And, well, it's actually not doing too bad with the background. Well, it might do too much. About right there is going to be good for me. Cool. Okay. Now, let's move on. Oh, hi, Jeanette. And hi, McKaylee. Thanks for joining the stream. It's me. I'm the one person. All right. We're going to keep moving. All right. So under lens correction, basically what this does is... All right. So on every lens, you've got kind of... That is not what I wanted to do. You have these things called lens diffraction, and you need to defringe it sometimes, but I'm not really too worried about it, but just to get an idea of what that does, you can kind of see around here on the edges where there's a purple kind of hue. It just helps get rid of that. Some have purple, some have blue, some have more of a greenish tone. That just helps get rid of that. But I'll go ahead and do it just for this, not really tutorial, but this live stream's sake. Haha. Yeah. Okay, next we've got vignettes, which I'm not going to worry about right now because I add all my vignettes later. And here we go with the calibration. So calibration is kind of like the secret sauce of, like, it's just going around. Like, everybody is loving this calibration tool. It's something that was added in like 3 versions ago, but for some reason now everybody's kind of like jumping on the calibration bandwagon. This has a lot of cool color adjustments, and there's not a lot of sliders. So if you're wanting to really mess around with a photo, mess around with this calibration setting. Because you can get like really, this is how I make my Sony camera look like a Canon camera, or my Sony camera look like a film camera. It's just really cool the way this slider kind of works. Because instead of, like, if you see, we've got red primaries, green primaries, and blue primaries, but technically red is in every color, green is in every color, so it doesn't just focus on one pixel, it focuses on a range of pixels, which is really cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the shadow slider, which is really just messing around with the tint of the image. So like the darker tints of the image, and again, the darker tint is going to be on that fiery side. So we'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and do on the red slider, I'm going to kind of actually bring this down. This is kind of, it's warming it up and not really cooling it, but it's still keeping that same kind of color cast, and I'm wanting to go for that really kind of low contrast color cast. The green one is really helping me out, but I'm still kind of right through here I'm not really liking, so I might have to put some smoke or something over there to kind of get rid of that. All right, let's move this down, move this up, and that green one's actually helping me out a lot. So if you notice, that green one's really helping me get rid of this, so go ahead and keep that right there. Now the blue slider, let's see how much red is in our blue color. A lot. All right, let's go ahead and pull this up just a bit. And I think this is going to be more of an embered look. We might be just a little smoky on this, or a little fire on the side right over here, and then have just a big smoke look. We might do that one on this final image, but who knows? Getting creative is fun. All right, so that is going to be it for this Lightroom edit. So the way I'm going to pull this into Photoshop, I'm just going to right click on here, and you're going to see this thing that says edit in, and I'm going to go to Adobe Photoshop 2023, and that's going to pull us over into Photoshop where all the magic happens. Like 90% of this edit is going to happen, and I'm hoping it's going to be done within the hour, because if it doesn't, my arm is going to fall off because I've been doing home renovations, and both my hands have been numb for like a week. But we're going to make this happen. All right, let's see if I can pull this over. And we want there we go. All right, now we're in Photoshop. And there we go. I can see everybody in the chat room. Nobody's watching me right now, so that's okay. People will watch later. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this background layer, and I'm going to begin to start messing around with my image. So, this tablet I probably should have a camera, but I'm using a tablet display that is hooked up into my computer. So I actually am able to use my computer as a pen tablet. So I have a pen that's in my hand and all that stuff. So it makes it just a lot easier for me to work and just kind of do my thing. So the first thing that I do is I duplicate that background there, and then I hit this little plus button that's right down here, which is going to add a blank layer. And the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start copying a ton of this information and just getting rid of this light. That is the number one thing I want to do. And then we're going to start worrying about doing some selective shaping, and then we're going to do some stuff and selecting her and taking her out. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We've got our layer already done, and I'm going to go ahead and start copying. So this tool right here is the clone stamp tool, and we're just going to go ahead and select some of our textures. We need to make sure our mode is in normal and our buttons are all pressed the way they should. Dump that up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just run on into this and just start erasing. And you want to try to find texture that isn't multiplied. So like say if I wanted to do this texture right here, you find textures that aren't duplicated immediately. That's probably the hardest thing that you're going to find in using the clone stamp tool. And that's the first thing that I look for whenever I'm using clone stamp is, am I duplicating just texture and not like objects? Because I really don't want to duplicate objects that are close to each other, because then it looks like I actually duplicated the object and it looks funny. Also try to be careful about duplicating around edges, because if you do that, like see if I do this and I do that, you'll see a hard edge right here, and that's a big no-no. So we got that all taken care of. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Get you out of here. We'll do a big wash and get you out of here. I'm starting to duplicate a tree there. That's not good. I don't want to duplicate a tree. Get this out of here. And a lot of this stuff, since it's in the background, I'm not worried about it too much, because a lot of this is going to be, dang it, my hands are numb already. A lot of this is going to be covered up by fire and smoke, so you're not even probably going to even realize that it's back there. But again, see that weird little way that it like you see the duplications? Just kind of go through and get rid of some of this. Make sure that things just look more random. The more random, the better. Take some of this, move it here, take some of this, move it there. And it just gives a better look and just helps people not able to tell that, oops, you know, something was done here that looks, you know, kind of odd. This still looks a little bit odd, but again, we're going to add some fire through here, and I want to just add a little bit of this. So we're going to add some sunshine right through here. But I know that I did something back there, but nobody else does. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. So fire is going to be here. We're going to have a fiery hill, and then I'm going to add one tree that's going to be on fire, and then there's going to be smoke. So the idea is to have a very left-heavy kind of smoky look, and then we're going to have a very right, excuse me, I'm awful burpy today, a very right-heavy, like flary look. Is probably what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take this layer, duplicate those, the bottom layer, and then I'm going to right click. I'm going to do this thing called Convert Smart Object, and that's going to flush all that stuff together. And this is going to be my main background. So I'm going to go background, boom. And I'm also going to pull up my timer. Background. There we go. Now I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on the beautiful McKaylee's face. And there is not a whole lot we have to do because she's perfect. And here we go. So the main thing you want to do is what I focus on is hairs, getting rid of some stuff that's around the face, just some things that, you know, people might not want to look at. But yeah, so we go ahead. I use what's called the spot healing brush, or the spot brush tool. I also create it on another layer, so just create you another layer and just move right on into it. So you hit alternate on a spot that you like, and then you just kind of brush away. We're just going to brush some of this hair out. I don't like that. Just get rid of some things that might not be as appealing on the image. We definitely don't want to give this a too airbrushed kind of look. And I'm actually not going to go into any airbrushing on this, because a lot of the airbrushing stuff that I do is going to be on major like portraits. This is more of a gritty look, so this is going to be more than enough. For what I'm going to want to do. Mainly, I just want to get the hair out of her face. Alright, so there's that. Okay. Feel free to hit that comments section while I do this, because it will be just a minute while I fix all the stuff going on here. Again, I should probably get some music for next time. This is the first time I'm streaming on Facebook Live. Usually I do it on YouTube, but thought I'd do something a little different. Also, subscribe to my Patreon. You can find it in my Facebook if you're not already a Patreon subscriber. It'd be awesome. It'd help pay for all these photo shoots, that's for sure. Right now I'm paying for all the stuff in the photo shoots, except for some of the models will pay for their costumes and outfits and stuff, which is always good. I appreciate it. But I would love to start paying these people. I would love to start getting paid for doing art and things that I enjoy doing. Here we go. Almost finished. And again, most people aren't going to be looking at 400% on this image. Most people will probably be looking this from afar and not have any idea that I did any of this work. But this is for me, and if anybody ever wants to print out this image, it has all of this, and it has been fixed. Here we go. Here we go. This is alright. I kind of like that texture with that hair just kind of barely going over. This is pretty good. Alright. Awesome. Love it. Alright, let's move in through here. that. Cool. Now the rest of it is just kind of looking throughout the outfit and just kind of trying to figure out whether or not there's anything that needs to be changed, which I'm not too worried about anything else on her outfits. I think I'm good to go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a selective cut. I'm basically going to cut her out of the background, kind of what we did earlier. So I'm going to select those two objects. I'm going to duplicate those again, and I'm going to convert to that smart object. And then I'm going to go to my lasso tool. I'm going to do select and mask. And we're going to go select subject, cloud AI, and select the subject. And hopefully this does a good job. Hopefully. Which it should. More than likely, we're going to have to add a bunch of hair and a bunch of all that stuff, which will be fine. Come on, select subject. Go. Yes. Okay. That is meh. Go ahead and take some of this out. It's got the hair. Lightsaber I'm not too worried about. Right there. Right there. Shoes I'm not too worried about, but I'll go ahead and select that. Select there, unselect that. Lightsaber, lightsaber. Do that. Good. Select this. Unselect that. I'm going to have to add hair, which is never fun, but it's got to happen. Get that. We'll have to add some hair there. Definitely we'll have to add hair. The whole thing. Okay, there's that. There's that. There's that. That's a no. Okay. Definitely going to have to add some hair. But that's okay. That's what this is all about. Whoops. I'll just do this. Undo. Undo. There we go. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and hit this mask button down here, and that's going to add a mask. So now if I do this, I just have her and the lightsabers, which is fine. And it's a little gritty down here at the bottom, which is fine. I'm not too worried about it because not a whole lot's going to be added over there. Cool. Okay, so let's add some background elements. So a lot of people have been asking me about how the heck did you do those trees? And the easiest way to do that is to go to something like stock.adobe.com, and you can download burning trees and all of that stuff. What you want to do is find pictures like, let me show you. Find pictures like this. Now, the reason why you find pictures like this is because the trees are so dark and have zero texture on them that you can overlay this exact fire texture on top of your trees, and it looks awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this tree texture and we're going to overlay it on this tree. So I'll overlay it on this tree, and I'll literally take all this stuff and put it into the background, and that's going to be the start of our fire. And then I'll put some fire a little further up on the hillside, probably with some of this, and we'll just kind of work our way up. And that's going to be the start of our fire, and then we'll add some smoke. And that's what we're going to do. So here we go. Let's pull that down. Make sure this is plenty big. The tree I'm going to be using is this somewhat straight one, and I'm going to kind of move it around to that. That's looking pretty good. And hit normal up here and do screen. Do a screen adjustment. So that you can already see this transparent layer already forming. Just kind of align that with our tree here. And we're going to push this underneath our subject. So now, all that stuff that we just did is behind her. It's pretty easy. Pretty easy. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Image or Edit. I'm going to do Puppet Warp. What this does is allows you to warp images around other images. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to select some areas that I want to kind of keep. And since that has a bend in it, I do not want that bend. Whoops. Go back. Back. All right, I'll just do this. Put the fire down right over here. I know. Move the fire down here. Push that fire more about right there. And make that fire go up there, and this portion right about here. We're going to call that Peachy King. That's going to be good. So there is our fire on the tree, and then we're going to go ahead and hit this mask button, and I'm going to go ahead and mask it by, so white means on, and black means off. So I'm going to go ahead and select a black brush here, and I'm going to paint on the black, and that is going to take away all the rest of that fire that we no longer need. And I'm just going to blend in our background, and that is one tree down. So on this tree, it's a little not bright enough for me. So you can use screen or you can use add, and the add brings a little bit more fuller color. So I know I'm going to have to bring that down, but it's a wee bit more bright, or a bit brighter. Well, honestly, for now, I actually do kind of like the screen look because everything's kind of at the same brightness level. So we'll go ahead and do that. But now we have to match our, depth of field. So we've got our depth here. This is straight up in focus, but our trees in the background are not. So we're going to go filter, blur. Oh, hold on, I'm on my mask. I don't need to be on my mask. There we go. Filter, blur gallery, field blur. And we're just going to kind of blur this up just a smidge. We'll say, yeah, well, maybe a little more. That's a little too much. That's too much. 12 looks good. Boom. 12. We got ourselves a burning tree in the background. We have burnt the tree, and it's progressively doing its thing. There we go. We have burnt some things. All right. I'm going to go ahead and like these comments. 30 minutes ago, how long have I been streaming? Hoi. I don't know how long I've been streaming, but that's okay. 49 minutes. Okay. Almost an hour, but we've only been in Photoshop for a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some fire. So I've got this kind of ridge line fire that sometimes I use, but I think that's going to be too close for what I want. And then I also got some of these fun smoke and embers that I'm going to use. But we're going to need some brush fire. So I guess we'll do a multi-fire layer, and then we'll mask all this stuff out. So I got a bunch of fire here. So we've got the fire kind of going off to the right-hand side. So we're going to flip this just like that. And then we're going to hit OK here. And then we're going to do screen. And let's go ahead and kind of move these around. So I know I want fire at the base of my tree. I know I'm going to have to fire at the base of the tree. It's just going to have to happen. So let's go ahead and do that. And my microphone is not near my face. I'm pretty much talking into nothing. Hit mask, and we're going to go ahead and blur all this out. That is not around the tree. So there's that. And then we're also going to add that same blur layer, blur gallery, field blur. And let's do, I think he said 12. Yeah, 12. All right, so there we go. We've got fire, more fire. And we're just going to keep adding on those layers until we get something that looks real good. And I might actually just keep it. That's actually kind of cool, just having that one tree there that's kind of burning. It's kind of doing it for me. But ooh, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like, trying to figure out, is that, no, that's a tree. That's totally a tree. Okay, I was trying to figure out whether or not that's tree or grass. I'm like, no, that's a tree because the shadow comes down right there. Okay, cool. So we're going to just go ahead and duplicate that layer again. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that mask layer, and we're going to add some more fire. So maybe we'll add something right there. Actually, yeah, that's not too bad. About like that. Some smart blur. Get rid of that. About right there. We'll go here. Do another one. Duplicate that fire again. Basically what I'm doing is I'm shoving a ton of different layers into the picture and masking everything to where only certain parts of the layers are seen. And then adding depth of field blur or field blur to make it look more realistic. Because the whole idea of the compositions that I like doing are realism. That's what I enjoy doing. I love trying to make things look as real as possible and not too fake. I love using real elements with fake and practical elements. It's just kind of the way that I do things. I enjoy that. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of these layers. So we're just adding that fire and just duplicating and adding. We're just putting as much detail into the image as we can until we can't push any more detail no more. Get rid of this mask again. I think we're just going to add maybe one more layer. Maybe make it big. Whoops. Something like that. That okay? Awesome. There's that. Go ahead and pull mask, more mask. And delete. More mask and delete. No one delete that. All right, cool. So we've got a bit of fire going on. We've got the char. The next thing we're going to do, I want to add some ember. So I actually need to go to a website. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in my stock site. So stock.adobe.com. And we're going to need to look for some some assets. So here we are at stock.adobe.com. And this is where I buy all my assets from. And I'm just going to type in embers. And what I want is just some dark texture. Just something like this. Something that's just going to kind of give it some offshoot. Maybe I can just do like burning leaves. Let's see here. Burning leaves. Leaves. Let's see here. That might do. No, that probably won't do. Nope. I might have to do something funky. All right, let's try it this way. So what I'm going to do is do a reverse curve layer. So we've got that. We've got the fire. So I'm going to add a curve layer. Okay. What this curve layer is going to do is I'm going to add a ton of contrast, something like this. But I'm only going to isolate it to this layer. So I'm going to sporadically put bits and bobs of burnt look. So like just kind of like splotches of black, basically. That's what's going on. So lots of splotchy black parts where all that fire is kind of going. That kind of looks like crap. I don't like that. This here is pretty good. That back there is in the brighter areas, not so much. So that is pretty good there. I like that. It's working for me. Okay, cool. So now that we kind of mess around with our fill layer and just kind of bring that in. There's still more to add. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we need some smoke. We need to add some smoke. Smoke is important. And I totally got out of my comments. Where'd they go? I want my comments back. Where are my comments? There they are. Okay, cool. Nobody's watching still, but that's okay. Go to my downloads. So I've got a bunch of smoke that I usually use. And let's just go through it. I've got smoke. There we go. Smoke. And just start adding layers of haze. There's that. One of the cool things I use, instead of using like screens and stuff, I use what's called blend if adjustments. So if you double click on the right hand side of your adjustment layer over here, you can use this blend if adjustment. And if you hit alternate under current layer, you can actually pull in the haze that you want without having to already screen out your layer. And it just gives a much more realistic vibe than if you were to sit there and screen out the entire layer, which I enjoy because then you get these cool little white spots. So there's that. We're going to go ahead and throw in some color. So on top of that, we're going to go ahead and hit adjustments. Hue sat. And actually, let's do it on the curves. Image, adjustment, curves. I'm going to select our red channel. And all we're doing is adding color to this top adjustment here. Add a little bit of color there. Pull down the blues. Make that just a smidgen more. And do that blue. And let's do some sat here. So make a little bit darker. About right there. That's looking good. And hit OK. And we've got our adjustment. So there's some more smoke. We're going to have to add some more smoke. Let's do it. Add more smoke. That's what we need. We need more smoke. Let's see here. How much more smoke do I have? Oh, I have these. Let's see here. Documents. Atmos. Atmos overlays. Oh, I love this one. All right. Smoke. This is probably my favorite smoke layer. I use it in virtually everything. All right, there. Ooh, I see where I need to make some adjustment there. There's that. Hit blend if. Together. Image, adjustments, curves. Pull in that red. Take out the blue. Pull in that orange. That's a little too much. Go to the green. Pull out green, which technically is adding red. And then pull down the sat, which is the luminance. And there is that right there. Cool. All right, that's looking good. Let's add some fire ember, just so it looks a little bit more out of control. And this is a little less. So we've gone from this like really saturated like image throughout the week into this is more of a wide. So she has gotten away from the fire. This is the final faux, and she's gonna end it. She's unalive this person, if you will. Let's see here. Let's do. I've got this one right here. So I'm going to pull this on here. And that is more of like a close-up, but we're going to add it right here. Right there. Push screen. Mask it off. Mask it off right there. And I know I need to do this because I saw that earlier. So there's that. Cool. So this is looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good, but I do need to do that crap. Add that field blur. Need to add that blur. It doesn't look good. Field blur, and that was 12. Boom. Gives a little more. Not a lot, but it's there. It's not a lot, but it's there. All right, but we're going to add more embers. We're going to add some of these closer. Oh, I should probably hit OK. So we're going to add some of these closer embers. Those are a little bit big, so we'll go ahead and start adding some foreground elements. Maybe something like that. This is going to be a foreground element, so we're going to put this on top of her. I'm going to go ahead and blend this with a screen effect. Do the mask here. So that's pretty big. And pull this in. Make it a little less. About right there. Looking alright. Let's pull this over a little bit more. That's just too much. I've used this a lot lately, so I don't want to use it too much. rid of all my secrets. All the secrets. But this is kind of what this composition is. So I do need smaller embers. All right, going to stock. Going to stock. Where's stock? Stock. Let's do this. Embers. I've licensed this one, so I'll go ahead and do that one. I want moving. I want far away embers is what I want. Further away, the better. Honestly, that's probably going to be really good. Download. Nope, not download preview. I want to license. License! Go. License, image, license, go. There we go. And it's saved. Cool. So I'm going to go into my downloads here and pull this over. All right, here's one of them that I got. Which this one. Ooh, it's got smoke too. Ooh. Right there. Screen. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's gonna look sick. Cool. All right. Go ahead and mask out the bottom of it here. Then I don't need to do anything to the top. And we've got our embers in the background blowing in the back. That looks so good. Sweet. All right. Now we're going to add that last one. It's the preview. There we go. Here's this one. We just need a little bit more. I'm going to add the swirlies right here because it needs it. That's where our embers are coming from. There. Screen those suckers in. Do another mask. And just mask that out just a bit. Mask this out just a bit. Just color our bases. There we go. All right, so we have a ton of stuff going on. We've got that wildfire in the background. It's sweet. It's smoky. We've got the little bit of smoke, so we need to add some hits. We need to add a little bit of highlight hits. So how are we going to do that? Well, we need to add a layer. So we need to add a blank layer. So we've got the blank layer, and we need to add some color. So I'm going to go ahead and hit our first color that's down here. I'm just going to hit our brightest part of this color, which is right here. And that's going to bring up my little menu right here. And I'm going to hit OK. Bing! First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hit and see if I like it. So the hit's about like this. And I'm going to change it down to screen. And let's see here. I don't really like it. All right. I don't like that color. So let's add a different color. So that is more of that brightest spot. So let's maybe add a little bit of the second brightest spot, which is going to be more of an orange. And maybe I'll make it a smidge bigger. So maybe about like that. And hit this and hit screen again. That's looking much better. Maybe just pull this up just a bit. And that kind of brings in a little more like less contrast. So you just get these little bitty hits. Little bitty hits. I used to do a big blur layer, and now I just do these kind of little itty bitty hits to just give a little bit more warmth where it needs it. Cool. All right, we've got that. We've got our smoke layer. I want to add some more smoke up here on top. I don't feel like I don't have enough smoke. So let's do... I've got more smokiness I can add. I just got to find it. This one I use a lot. This one I actually found for my the dark side one that I used, or I did the photo shoot for. So this one will probably work perfect. Let's see if I can just go ahead and screen. Ah ha ha! Yeah, it does. All right, so there's that smoky layer. But what happened? So this is behind. So this is everything that would happen behind. But what if we add this on front? That's not too bad. That's actually not too bad. Let me see what happens when I mask this. That's not too bad. Now, one of the things, so I might not actually have to add too much to her hair. It's kind of blending in really nicely, so I might make this a simple edit, and then I'll actually do a hair tutorial on another thing, because this edit's going really long. But yeah, this actually looks really, really good. I do enjoy this. We do need to add some smoke. So let's see what happens whenever... Oh, man, my mom is texting me. Hi, what is happening? Okay. Cool. Okay. Let's see here. I need a smoke layer. So I'll just show you my downloads. My downloads are crazy. I've got lots of fun stuff. Thumbs up, smoke, flare layers, clouds, stormtroopers. What was I adding? I need a smoke layer. I need like a bed of smoke. That's what I want. A bed of smoke. I know I have it. I know I have the bed of smoke. Where is it? You. Nice bed of smoke. Then I can do this like that. Change this to do not like that one bit. Hold on. Blend if current layer. Pull this down. Oh man, that is nasty. Hold on. Let's try this and adjustments, curves. Let's see. Let's take out all that blue. That blue is gross. Push. Man, I don't like any of that. No thank you. We're done with that layer. Done. All right, let's find something else. Downloads. I know I've got more smoke somewhere. Let's do... All right. Documents. Atmos. Overlays. The Atmos plugins are really good. I use them a lot. All right, let's just do an overall smoky layer and just kind of bend it. So I want to have her kind of coming through the smoke, and that's what I want. Make that bigger. Like that. And since this is a high quality photo, it's like a 20 megabyte photo instead of like 2 megabyte, or not megabit, what do you call it? A kilobyte photo. This one's going to have much more layer to it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that in. I can pull stuff like this out, and I can kind of have her walk through it. Do that. Image, adjustments, curves, reds, pull in the reds, blues, take out the blues, and sats. Bring in the sats. Just kind of pull it like that a bit, and then let's do a mask. Lots of mask. All the mask. It's a good movie. Have you seen The Mask? It's an oldie nowadays. Just kind of have her coming through the fog. Then maybe I'll actually bring this back up just a bit. Comes out behind her as well. Not so bright. About like that. Now listen up. Here's the story. Okay, let's pull this out. I don't like this that much. There we go. Just a little bit of haze. Just a little bit of haze. Just a little bit. A little bit of haze. And then I'll do this right here where it's close, because it's going to be glowing this portion of the smoke. Okay. Cool. All right. I like it. I like it. Okay, so I think I want to finish this off. Let's go ahead and let's add this lightsaber, because these lightsabers be on and they be trucking. All right, so we're going to focus on this layer. I'm going to do my selective layer here, or my selective button, and deselect. I'm just going to select lightsaber. It's got that there. Deselect you. Don't want any of you. That's good. Gonna select you. All of that works. Don't need you. Copy it. Awesome. So I copied that, take it over here, and where she is, right on top of that, I'm going to go ahead and paste it right on top. I'm going to go from normal, hit add. It's going to make them lightsabers, sabers white. Did I do that right? Yeah, I did it right. All right. And then I'm going to do outer glows. Right, now that makes that thing glow like no tomorrow, which is awesome, but I want to go ahead and do the inner glow as well real quick, because this thing needs to be white. Why is this not working? Be nice to me. Be nice to me, please. Be nice. Hello? Why is this not working? Okay. The heck? Is that not working because I have that smoke layer on top of it? And that shouldn't... Oh, I guess it is. Really? Oh, man, that sucks. Okay. So let's do this. We'll just add the screen. Okay, there we go. It has to be a screen layer for that one. Okay, go back to this. Which actually looks really good, but it could be better. All right, so we want our size not to be too crazy. Don't want the spread to be that crazy. But right there. Range, that's too much. About right there, and you got yourself some lightsabers. Some gray lightsabers. This is where we're at so far. Awesome. Okay, we've got that. Let's go ahead and add some foreground material to our edit here. I want to add... I do want to add more smoke, honestly. Like, things just need to be insanity. To the max. It's just not enough. I just don't feel like there's enough. Foreground material. Actually, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I don't want smoke. I want embers. I want more embers. That's what I want. Things are heating up. So let's do more embers. Close-up embers. That's what I want. Close-up embers. Which would be this one, which I've used so many times. Which actually, I already believe I already did that one. Let's get a new one. Let's get a new stock. Let's get one really flowing. Let's get one that's real flowy. Let's do next page. That one's not bad. That one's not bad either. Why? Leave this one. Ooh, and this one. Crap is that? No, it's a vector. I don't want a vector. This one's pretty good. I'll do this one too. Alright, but this is going to be the last of it. And then we're going to color it and call it good. This. Downloads. Put this on top. Right over there. Let's do add. Yeah, just like that. Awesome. All right, and then we got one more we can add. It's going to be... No, is that a preview? I don't want that one. Right here. Just like that. And then we'll mask. If I do another one like this, I'll probably focus more on relighting. This one doesn't have a whole lot of relighting. But yeah, this is it. This is where I want this one to go. I didn't want this one to be too crazy. Plus, I've been streaming now for an hour and a half. So, I want to make sure everyone kind of is able to see this one. But, okay, so the secret final sauce that I throw on all these, though, this one I'm calling good. I'm going to go ahead and select all of these layers. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate every single one of them. And that's going to be a minute. I do want to thank everybody for joining me on this fun little mission that I've had to start live streaming again. I got a few comments, which is awesome, which is more than usual. And someone liked the stream, so I appreciate it. Hopefully we get more restreams throughout, and I'll find some music that I can put into this so it is a little less boring. And you can watch with more enjoyment. But, so things that we did in this stream. We got rid of a light. So there used to be a light right here. So now we have our light source, which is this fire, which is obviously on the left-hand side, and there's nothing on the right-hand side. We did some lightsabers. We added some glow, added a little bit of smoke to our sabers, and we added a little bit of light on the sabers, which is kind of where we wanted to be. So we've got all that duplicated. We're going to go ahead and select those into a smart object. And what I'm going to be doing is adding contrasting select vignettes. So you'll see what I mean with that here in just a moment. As soon as this stuff is done converting. See little pinwheel? The pinwheel that's going this way? It's converting all my things. Yep. So we're going to be doing that. I'm going to try to be doing more live streams. It's just so hard whenever I have 2 dogs and all these other things going around. But usually live streams can happen on Thursdays and Fridays. So hopefully we'll be starting to see more of that going on. But on this one, we didn't have to actually do anything with her hair, which is a plus. Because hair is a little bit more difficult to pull off. Not like it's hard, but it's definitely a little more difficult to do. To get into the real stuff. Let's go convert. Convert. It's going. It's going. We actually did do part of the shoot with the dual bladed saber, so we connected these two. But I don't know. I liked it, but just having the dual blades just looks super cool. So I kind of focused more on that. All right, now we've got this layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit from normal, and I'm going to hit multiply. That's going to make everything kind of super saturated. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit our mask tool down here. Control I, and that's going to turn it off. And I'm going to reveal portions of the mask. So see where we've got all our sabers. We have our light hits. I'm going to start putting light takeaways on this side. And that's going to accentuate our saber depth. And it's just going to kind of pull your eye in to where our model is. And yeah, so there's some fire there. And do a little bit of a hit here. Maybe a little smaller of a hit up here. A smaller hit up here. Smaller hit here. Small hit back here. Oh, that was too much. Like that. And this is what this adds. You go from super low contrast to now we have a slightly vignetted look with some darker smoke, and you kind of play around with the opacity of this and just kind of build more layer on top of layer on top of layer. But I think I'm going to end it here. The only thing I have left to do is put my watermarks and all that stuff on it. Everybody, hey, thank you for joining me on my first live stream Photoshop on my Facebook channel. I'm going to try to do a huge restream thing where I do on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Instagram and all that stuff. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but it's something that I'm working on. I'd like to help people learn my craft. It's hard. It's time consuming. And it gets difficult, and I'd love to help you through all that stuff. So, again, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. Share it if you can. Send me stars. Get on my Patreon. It's Cherokee_Turner on Patreon. There will be a link to it in the comments. But yeah, I also have a link to the sabers if you want to buy the sabers. Anything you do helps me. If you buy the sabers from the link, it helps me monetarily, helps my models get stuff, it helps me get stuff, and just helps the whole community. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys later.